Okay. So this is going to be a little bit interesting, considering, yeah, just lighting, really. But now, why am I doing this? Primary reason. I'm constantly being recommended all the videos of people saying why I dropped RWBY, and obviously, if the title didn't give it away, I'm one of the people who haven't dropped it. So it's just me? Maybe. This could be a super unpopular opinion, like as in like from what you've seen on YouTube. Because there's a whole bunch of more people saying why I've dropped it than people going, I support it, I still love it. You know what I mean? Like so many people are like, I'm done. It's over. I don't care about it no more. Well, not exactly like that. Don't take that in that context. A lot of reasons, some vary, but a lot of them are identical almost, just with different points they bring up to it sometimes. Okay, let's just clear the air here. I am going to be talking about this one subject that I avoid talking about a lot. Bumblebee. So many people bring that up. It's like, oh yes, this one ship. This ship, yeah, I can't stand this show no more. Once again, it wasn't, most of the people I've seen, it wasn't their only reason. It's just, whenever it gets brought up, I'm like, yes, there it is. A ship has ruined the show. A ship has made the show so unbearable, I'm dropping it. The whole Vic thing, it sucks. Like, I heard that, and I straight up was like, what? You know, I also don't exactly agree with the whole firing Vic, but at the same time, from a PR standpoint, this is even for me, I'll try to find the video where this would come from. But from a PR, like especially business standpoint, what they did was honestly probably from a business person a smart move. Since a lot of us aren't, who knows. But once again, I personally don't like that they did that. I'm not going to go and say, you know, yeah, no, I'm glad they did. I'm not that person, and I don't agree with it to begin with, so it's like, okay, cool. I can understand that you guys are angry and upset about that, because I'm also angry and upset about the whole, Vic situation. But the Vic situation is not enough to make me stop watching RWBY. I'm going to sit there and look at Crow and be like, what the heck is wrong with your voice? And constantly go, oh yeah, Rooster Teeth did this. That's not the show's fault. That is just situation coming over from the company that is producing the show and hiring people to voice it. Okay, and that's not exactly something we can be like, yeah, no, the show's never going to be the same. I personally, for one, I found out that Mercury's voice changed. When I watched that stuff, I didn't pay attention to the voice actors' names. I still, to this day, half the time don't. But yeah, his voice changed. Okay, he was the same character. Once again, I can understand. I'm definitely going to be sitting there, probably listening to Crow's voice for like 3 hours, trying to convince myself that it's the same, even though I know it's never going to be. But yeah, that's just one thing, like Bumblebee and then the Vic. For one, the Bumblebee, okay, that's show related. I'm going to continue talking about that. Once again, though, the Vic, that's more of it's the company, it's Rooster Teeth, more than the show. Does it affect the show a bit? Kinda in some of our experience, but it doesn't run the show, so let's drop it. People bring up how the finale was kinda anticlimactic. Well, in the fight with the Leviathan, 100% yes, I will agree, it was kind of anticlimactic. It's just, I'm a sappy person, and I'll explain why I'm kind of okay with it in a second. But, like, I will say yes, no, the fight with the Leviathan, they could have made it a little bit more and, like, did stuff with it other than just having her use her eyes. Like, maybe, like, I was perfectly fine with RWBY using her eyes, especially because, hey, look at that. She didn't kill it. She froze it for a minute, but she didn't actually take it out, showing that, hey, she's learning. She's not immediately overpowered. She's actually just learning. My light turned off. But maybe I'll just leave it like this. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be like, oh, look at that, she's using her eyes, because so? In a video, I forget, the RWBY cast reacting to the fandom. Oh man. After the streams, I might try go and find the video so I can link it. But that video, it's like so perfect. Like people comment, "Oh, RWBY using her eyes, isn't that cheating?" And then like the response is, "What? No, I have to learn to do that. If that's cheating, then Cinder using her maiden powers, isn't that cheating? Because when you think about it, it is. Because Silver Eyes isn't exactly RWBY's semblance. Okay, I guess if you want to consider that cheating, well then Cinder using her maiden powers, which isn't her semblance, isn't that on the same level? No one really complains about that. Well, so here's Cinder, no complaints. Here's RWBY's. Slowly rising as people come to think about it. And people go, oh, the power of friendship. A whole bunch of people also complain like, it doesn't feel the same. Now, my only real response to that is, of course it doesn't. They're doing the best to keep it going. It can't be the same. The show has lost its creator, the one who 100% knew really what he wanted to do with it. They're just picking up the pieces and trying to continue it and go forward with it. It's not going to feel the same. I know all of us wish it could feel exactly the same. But then again, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to say this because I'm trying to think in like those people's perspective. Because I'm sitting here still enjoying the show, loving it, and like, yes, some things have changed. I'm not going to try and argue against that point. Things have changed. But I don't dislike it. Volume 5, everyone hated how slow it was, how little action there was. Guess what? I'm one of the odd people who found Volume 5 okay. Was there flaws? Heck yeah. Did that stop me from saying I like the volume? No. I like my enjoyment to a show. Yes, I do love the story and I like to see where it goes. But a big part of a story to me is characters. If I hate the characters, I don't care how good your story is. I probably wouldn't watch it. Because to make a story, you need to have good characters. I love the characters. Okay, so whenever they stop and take time to like actually have characters interact and, you know, like show things, I value that more than I value fighting, combat. Like, I'm just saying, I don't value fight scenes as much as I do actual character building, character development, fun stuff like that. That's just me. Everyone can have a different thought and opinion on that. It's perfectly valid, and I'm not going to argue your point, because I'm saying here I love, you know, character interactions more than I do fighting, but I will admit when they fight, it's awesome. I'm not going to say I dislike it, I just don't really complain when there's more talking than there's fighting. And it's just because I like when Volume 5 was just starting to air, there wasn't complaints, you know. Complaints really from where I would complain about came at the end. So really, for most of Volume 5, I loved it. It was, yeah, the ending a little where I wasn't super kind with, but at the same time, I love Volume 5. Volume 4, I loved it. Was the, you know, jumping from storyline to storyline a little bit weird at some moments? Once again, yes. But once again, it was also a good thing. It was a nice way to show where they are with their situation, what's happening, what's going on, and I just personally agreed with it a little bit more. I personally was like, okay. And then Volume 5, they still had to do it a little bit, but they did it obviously better. They've learned from having done it for a volume. So they tried their progress there, right? It's just the situation where you can't really, like, okay, here's what I want to segue into. Fan fiction. Guys, just cause you like your idea or you like how someone else wrote it better than the show does not mean the show is, excuse my language here, but does not mean the show is shit. Yes, of course a fan can probably write something you like more. You know why? Because they're a fan, so they probably have the same ideas as you. So what if the show doesn't go the way you want it? You're not the one in power. You're following the show through to see what happens. You're not following the show through just so you can go and micro-organize what happens. We don't get to control how a show goes. Yeah, maybe fans have some influence, but we can't change the entire story. That's just not how that works. Yeah, no, I personally read fan fiction. So what? Yeah, sometimes I love them a little bit more than how something, like sometimes I read some apart from the show and I go, this was done a little bit better. But I've never been like, oh, this person should have wrote. This person should have been one of the writers on the team. I just don't do that. I'm not the type of person to go and I'm just not. It's a huge thing when I see that everyone goes, oh man, we could have wrote this better. It's so weird when you see that we can write this better than the actual writers. And like I keep saying, it's like, oh hey, yeah, I wonder why. Maybe it's because you know what you want and you can write something and then personally you'll find someone who has the same thoughts as you, someone who has the same opinion as you, and they wrote a story, and of course you're going to like it more because they have the same feeling of what you want. That doesn't mean it's better or anything like that. Not for my opinion, and yeah, if Team RWBY reacted to the fandom, that's the video. But I can't stress this enough. Yes, fan fictions tend to be sometimes better than the actual work. You know why though? As I just stated, because fans are the ones who made it. And I'm just saying this more of inside with everything. I read fan fictions for almost anything I've watched or a game I've played. And sometimes for all of those, I go, hey, this would have worked so much better. Hey, this would have been cool. It's not just RWBY. This is not some new type of thing. It's something that's just been done naturally and is going to stay forever. There's always going to be a fan fiction one of us comes upon where we're just like, this was so much better than the original. That's just how it works. It's how things are. It's sad. It's cruddy. But that's just the world we live in. We aren't going to be able to run a show. Let's use Naruto. No, let's use Fairy Tail because I know more Fairy Tail than I really do Naruto. But Fairy Tail fillers. Some people love them. Other people hate them. I'm in the middle. Some of them I find great and I love that they put in. Other times I'm like, why was this put in? Like, people in volume 6 said the Brunswick farm arc. They said that was filler. So a lot of people liked it. Well, apparently there's some people who hate it too. And once again, everyone's personal opinion. It's the situation where some people love it, but the people who love it are being out-voiced by the people who hate it. Because the people who love it, they don't think, oh, I need to, shout out my love because, There's no reason I need to like act all defensive. But the people who dislike it, they go in videos. Like, if you're a YouTuber and you do make RWBY videos, I can understand like having to voice that you kind of no longer feel that you want to make videos for the show or, speak about it. Or maybe that like stuff like that, or that you're not even going to watch it. Sure, okay, I guess that's what comes with being a YouTuber. You do need to kind of mention what's going on. But at the same time, when you get that voice out there, like why I dropped it, like in one of the videos I was just watching, which kind of made me do this, someone in the comments was like, was I just saved from having to watch RWBY? I get it. You're on this video, this person's explaining things that they didn't like, and maybe like from you who haven't seen anything, so you have no context whatsoever, it's like, oh wow, that sounds horrible. Just because it sounds horrible, like, let's see. This has happened to me. I think, even a situation like this for RWBY. Before I watched RWBY, I was hearing some iffy things about it, and I was hearing, like, from people I know, and, like, people going, I didn't really like the animation, stuff like that. And so I personally was like, oh, okay, and I didn't watch it. But then, like, a few months later, all of a sudden, I'm watching it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm like, why the heck? Why was I so stupid? Why didn't I just try it for myself to see how I actually felt about it? You know what I mean? It's, when you're a YouTuber, sometimes once you get a following, your whatever you say is going to be taken seriously. Like, you can, like, let's say you're making a sarcastic video and you're like, this isn't serious, I'm just joking. Some people might take it seriously even if you told them it's sarcastic. It's just a thing with the world, and it's like, if I wasn't, let's see, like I've mentioned to you guys, so on my desk there is figures of all of Team Juniper, Yang, RWBY, and I have another RWBY, and then I have a Weiss right there on my desk. I love this show a lot. I have all 4 anthologies. Like, I seriously love the show. So apparently people towards Pyrrha's death, some people were like, wow, that was so stupid. I will admit, Pyrrha going in to fight Cinder, even though not even Ozpin could stop her, was, not smart. But, like, in Volume 5, RWBY said this. She went to fight knowing she wouldn't win, but she wanted to buy time. She wanted to at least try, okay? And I've heard around that, like, Volume 2 wasn't even really going to be a thing because they really wanted to incorporate the fall of Beacon super fast, but Volume 2 was there to slowly ease you into the darkness. So, like, I personally, like, even though I love Pyrrha, and, like, her death still haunts me to this day, I don't find it stupid. Honestly, any character's death I don't find stupid. Like, even if I don't personally get it, or maybe if other people don't get it, I'm not going to call it stupid. It's just how I work, like, how I am, and just, I'm not going to change that about myself. Some people are going, I'm going to drop the show, but I am still going to listen to that soundtrack. Okay, for one, that isn't hypocritical, really. Not really. Like, the person was like, am I being a hypocrite by doing this? Like, no, not really. But it's just like, okay, we didn't need to know you're going to stop watching the show. It's perfectly fine if you just stop and, listen to the soundtrack. Do whatever you want to do. It's perfectly fine. But it's just like, ugh. Sorry this was more complaints than why I still love it. But like I said, as the show progressed, it still kept showing characters interact, and it, like, gave more to them. It is slowly but surely incorporating backstory, giving you more of a reason to love them. Not just being like, oh, hey, look, main character, love her. And by the way, my favorite characters, I do love Team, RWBY as a whole. I like Ruby and Blake. Yang and Weiss, I do love, but I wouldn't be like, oh, they're my favorite immediately, but I do love them. Nora is amazing. Love her. I don't know how I would be able to deal if I actually knew someone like her in real life, because I am by far one of the quietest people out of my friend group when it comes to interacting, hanging out. I am normally the most reserved. So I don't know how well I would be able to deal with a friend like Nora, but that doesn't mean I dislike her. She's great. Ren, I love him. He is talking more, and like some people did point out, when he does talk, it's kind of not really super important, but hey, he's talking more. He could just be silent. I just like Ren, you know. His and Nora's interactions are great. I love them. I find them adorable. So that could just be me in general. You know, it's not anything I would say is a deal breaker on like their personalities, but I just like it. John, he's growing so much. John is just the poor boy, okay? Like, having to pretty much have someone confess to you and then send you away just so the person who confessed can go off to their death and they weren't saved. Imagine that. I would imagine that would be horrible. And like to continue on this journey and having a few reminders and just like thinking back to what if I could have done something different. I would imagine that would suck, and you can see that through him. And then when Cinder opens her big mouth, because goddamn Cinder, he snaps there. He's like, I'm nothing, I mean nothing. If I die here and it helps them, good, okay, I'll gladly die here. It's like, no. If John had died then, I would have been angry. Mainly because Pyrrha did it with the thoughts and hopes that she'd be able to protect the people. Yes, John, you could say, is doing something similar by being like, they can do this. If I go, that'll help them. But he wasn't trying to fight back. He was just gonna accept it. Yeah, maybe he was like, at first, like trying to get her off, but then he was kind of just like, so what? Go ahead. I don't mean nothing. They'll get you. It's just mentality. But yeah, no. Parents. Raven, I don't hate you, but I have some words for you. But I'm not going to say them. Raven, she's interesting. She's curious. That's about it. Taeyang, he's cool. I can't blame him for breaking down, as Yang put it. Shut down, as Yang put it. Because, you know, I don't know experience like that, but I would imagine, once again, that couldn't be something that's really easy to take in and comprehend really fast. But yeah, no, that was sad. But he's a good dad. He honestly cares about them. You can tell. He's not going to hide it. He's pretty open about how much he does love his kids. Now, the Belladonnas. I love them. Kali, you're great. Gira, also great. I did not know what to expect when I first saw that we were going to actually run into Blake's parents. I legit, like, I did not know what I was going to think. And, like, they're precious. Go back to that interaction with Gira and Blake back in Volume 4, Chapter 8. Before, you know, it got serious and real. That was just too precious, and I don't know what to say about that anymore. Other than, like, I truly appreciate that scene. Volume 6 was a roller coaster, that's for sure. People, just because it became more obvious, they're like, oh, you're shipping. Yeah, we're getting into the touchy subject of Bumblebee. If you don't like this, you know, stop listening now. But, Bumblebee, am I a shipper? Because I know some of you are going to be, from how I'm talking, are going to be like, oh, you're defending this. You're super biased because you're a shipper of it. I will admit, I do ship it. Before you all stop listening because of that sentence, I ship it, but I'm open to hear why other people either don't or why they have a certain thought about it. I don't think it's rushed, mainly because most of Volume 6, I never saw it as them trying to be like, oh yes, these two are going to get in a relationship. I saw it as, oh hey, Volume 5, we never got a chance to really show you that their relationship is still not fixed just because Yang accepted her back. And so most of the time when I saw how like Blake was really trying to show Yang that, hey, I'm here, I'm not going to leave, hey, can we, like, you know, when you see that she's trying to fix or at least mend that wound and like that situation to try to be close to her partner again, it broke my heart and I felt bad. Like, Yang for her part was not being outwardly like, oh no, you're just gonna leave again. But like she did at times just blow Blake off and just be like, you know? It's just this thing of how we as different people view things. Other Bumblebee shippers viewed all of those as romantic. I was not like that. For one, I reacted to these things on my other channel. And honestly, I was too scared to voice my opinion because I thought something like what actually happened would happen. So, you know, I never was openly like, oh my god, this is adorable, or oh my god, this hurts. Because, like, yeah, no. The people going, you know, this seems so sudden. This, like, goes with the RWBY thing. I think back in, I think in a comment, I mentioned, like, yeah, maybe in a video. Yeah, video. I was like, RWBY has been showing some development. It's not huge. They're not trying to put it in center focus during Volume 4. But there is some there. And in the video of why I was making my video, the person was like, there's no development. Just because you think you see it, you're not seeing right. They're not making it obvious. Nope, that tiny bit, that means nothing. And so I was angry about that because I was like, no, you see she's being affected. Yeah, she's all like acting all chipper and being like, haha, you know, in her normal fun, goofy RWBY self. But you had moments of like downcast, moments of just silence, moments of looking up at the sky and just like almost like she's hoping and just thinking back to the past where she had all her team, where they were at Beacon and enjoyed like, you know, fun goofiness of classes and all that stuff. They were there. They weren't huge. They weren't her shouting, throwing her feelings out. They were there for you to see if you just wanted to. Like with Bumblebee. Most of the scenes where people will point things out to you, you can take it in two contexts. You can take it in romantic. Actually, three. Romantic, in between, like, hey, like, you know, like close friends maybe going, hey, like super jokingly, or like, you know. So, ship, neutral, could be either, or just friends. The three ways you can see that situation between most of those scenes, okay? So some people from the very beginning viewed it as like, oh yeah, no, I want them together. Some people viewed it as, hey, no, this could be a possibility. And others are just like, hey, look, friends. Hey, look, team partners. Cool. But then the moment Volume 6 came about, there was only two sides. We eliminated the third option, it almost looked like. There was shippers, there was people who were starting petitions against it. Okay, there is a third option. Some people just like voicing their complaint about it, but didn't go all the way about the petition thing. I'm sorry, it's just, when I heard there was two petitions out there people made for Rooster Teeth to, I think one of them literally was like save the waifus, save Yang or something. I don't know. It was absurd. But like the ship has even been made canon. That's what I don't understand about this situation. Like Rooster Teeth hasn't gone, they're canon, it's official. But everyone's acting like they've done that. And they're like, Rooster Teeth, I'm just going to go and start this petition. I want people to sign it. We need to get Bumblebee out of the show. So a comment I responded to, someone was like, burn Bumblebee to the ground. And I'm like, in a video I was watching, the person was talking about Bumblebee and then was like, it's perfectly okay to have gay characters. But then he was all like, Monty said Team RWBY's like a sisterhood, so there's no sense that they're suddenly fucking. I'm sorry, but that's what was said. And it's like, well, Monty also stated when asked about LGBT characters in RWBY that as the show progresses, the writers get to know the characters and get to see what they're like and feel them like. So they may be there now, but we're learning. So yes, though he at the time maybe stated, that it's like a sisterhood, it doesn't mean that, they're actually going to be all like super sisterly. Because when you think about it, they're a sisterhood. Weiss and Blake, yeah, they could reconcile, but they were never like super close. But once again, there's not a lot of siblings. There are siblings. I'm super close to my sister 90% of the time. But like not a lot of siblings are always get along with each other, But like I don't think he would say their sisterhood to imply like, hey, there's no way in anything that none of them would ever have an interest in one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it was said, but it shouldn't be taken in the context of, oh yeah, no, there's no way there would be a relationship possibility between any of them. And that's just me stating that. Like, I'm a Bumblebee shipper in this sense. If it happens, I'll cheer, I'll cry, I'll be happy. If it doesn't, I won't shed a tear, I won't care. I'll just be like, okay, cool, let's keep going. I am the most, if it happens, I'll be happy. If it doesn't, who cares type of person in this situation. So whenever I talk about that, whenever I try responding to someone bringing up the ship, I'm not saying it because I want to defend Bumblebee to my death. It's because a lot of people, after saying their complaints about Bumblebee, bring up Black Sun. And some people aren't doing this because, I'm not going to go and accuse people of being homophobic. I'm not going to do that. No, I would never. So also, if whatever I say sounds like I'm trying to imply they're homophobic, I'm not. People like to say that heteronormative, like it's a society thing. Most people, when they think of relationships, for the most part, once again, what other people say, the first thing that come to mind is a guy and a girl. That's just like how society at first normally thinks. Heteronorm, something like that. And, so that it literally could just be that, like, just because what they said kind of sounds like it's homophobic, it doesn't mean they're homophobic. I understand this, and I'm not going to ever imply that anyone is, unless they outright state, yeah, no, like, they have to say some crude, harsh things to get me to implicate them as that. That's all I'm saying. But when you go and say, it's okay to have gay characters in the show, but then go and say, the creator said it's a sisterhood, so I forget what was exactly said, but unless they're from here, it makes no sense that they're suddenly fucking. And then all of a sudden go into bring up, go and talk about how relationships are, like, grown, and then, like, bring up Black Sun immediately after. I wish you could have said, like, a different ship. You're talking about Blake and Yang here. You could have brought, like, maybe Ren and Nora, because they are kind of subtly hinting things. That would have been a good one to use, because then it wouldn't be like trying to take one of the people in this gay ship and put them in a straight ship. That was really my big issue with it. It wasn't me going, oh, yeah, homophobic. Not at all. My biggest issue was just how it was phrased. Because it was like, oh, this was just thrown in to appease the fans. Here's Black Sun, I like that development. It was just so thrown in there that it was just a little too much, personally, to make me think, oh, this person was just generally trying to point this out. Yes, maybe it wasn't so subtly, slowly introduced. It was kind of like just, at one point, it was like super subtle, and then it was just punch in. But that doesn't mean it's romantic. Some people are going to say, like, when some Bumblebee shippers point these incidents out and act like they were all romantic, people who don't ship it go, those weren't romantic, that was strictly platonic. But then there's the other people who go, that wasn't, like, the people who dislike the ship, and they're also like, that's too romantic. What are you doing, Rooster Teeth? This is messed up. The ship is demented or whatever. Yeah. In the comment I left on one of the videos, I stated, yes, no, there are some Bumblebee shippers out there who are crazy about this stuff, but the same can be said about any ship that's being supported by a fan base. Some people take it super far and will defend it like if they don't, they'll die. The same thing can be said about the people who are against the ship, and that's what I've been seeing more of. Yeah, I've seen some people go straight up and being like, it's canon now, woo! But that's just because they're super excited, right? They're not really offending anyone. Like, you know, you can go and point out, you know, like, yeah, it's not exactly canon yet, but I can see where that came from. And yeah, if they do respond in like, you know, oh, you're being homophobic, which I have seen occasionally, then yeah, I can understand being angry, but just ignore it. Don't fight back, because that will just look bad on your part too. Just be like, okay, I was just trying to tell you, you know, it's like, I'm glad to, like, it's cool to see that you're excited about something, but it's not completely official yet. But then I've seen so much more people complaining about every single scene with them. Like, even before it even looks even romantically, like, even romantic. I messed that up. I'm tired. But before it even looked really romantic, people were all like, ew, why are they interacting like this? Ew, can the Bumblebees just stop? Can they stop trying to appease all of the shippers? And I'm just sitting here like, okay, for one, you guys yelled at Rooster Teeth for not having them interact in Volume 5 because, you know, they need to reconcile after, you know, Blake ran. But now that they are interacting and you're starting to see some of that stuff, you guys are taking it into the romantic concept and you're just like, ew, that's disgusting. Stop it, RT. That's another thing about that. Like, I love the show. I will sit here and continue to support the show until, well, they either actually do something bad or I die. And I hopefully never get myself dragged into fandom war ever again. Because the only thing I consider a little messed up about RWBY is its fandom. There's a lot of the fandom, which is good, nice, cool, and I love them because I've seen like what the fandom's like when, you know, there's no feuding going on. But the moment there's like a ship thing going on, I'm just like, I'm out. I don't want to see you guys. Bye. Because it's just scary. It's just too much. A ship does not make a show. So what if a ship doesn't happen? So what if a ship happens? It's not going to change what the show is. If that's how you think it, then maybe you're taking this too seriously. I mentioned I didn't, like, Black Sun, I don't ship it. The basis of their relationship is that, like, he knew she was a faunus. Yet people took that wink, which is him going, hi there, as a, you're hot. No. No. And yeah, maybe, like, they did constantly if anything, that was the most thrown in there, random. Honestly, Black Sun was thrown in there just as much as Bumblebee was, to be perfectly honest. Because to me, I never voiced this straight up. I did not join into any fandom type thing until this 2018, 2019. So yeah, no. I've never been one to spout this, actually. But when I saw Blake blush at Sun that one time, I straight up was like, what? Where's that coming from? You've interacted with him when you ran because you inadvertently told your team that you're a faunus and you were with the White Fang, and then the few times he decided to come in on a team event and talk, and then you would leave because you're kind of stressed out because of the White Fang. And then, like, he asked you to the dance, yes, but the only reason you went to the dance was because Yang. And then, once again, this is a scene where you could miss. But like when they were dancing, she did look over and look at Yang for a minute. Not saying that's a romantic thing, but I'm like, even then, like even though you're supposed you're with the dude, you also go to acknowledge that, hey, hi there, like. And then all of a sudden, Volume 3, he looks over after winning. She's all blushy face. I've just probably seen too many romantic things, read too many books or something. But there's always the relationships where, like, for one, Yang and Blake, they've never been super blushy. They've never, like, been like that towards each other. But they've been supportive. Also, what the video that made me do this, after saying that Bumblebee's kind of like no, and then like the sisterhood stuff, goes and being like, platonic relationships are super memorable, but then goes and brings up a romantic one, saying that it was done nicely. Yeah, it's just like, hey, this is why I was honestly fine with, like, if they do it, I'd be happy. If they didn't, I'd be perfectly fine. Because, hey, as platonic, they're great. But as romantic, they probably would be just as great. Because the show isn't just going to all of a sudden be like flaunting their relationship. Oh, hello, and they kiss. Like, maybe, yeah, hand-holding, but that, honestly, right now, those two, yes, technically, Adam, the person who has been tormenting them because of the situations, is gone. But, hey, they also killed him, so now that's going to loom over their backs. So they still need support. And oh wait, Blake, what is she? A faunus. Where is she going? Atlas. She's gonna need support there too. So honestly, I don't see what's wrong. Like, I don't see the show jumping, like, going from like hand holding to all of a sudden making out every chance. Like, their relationship isn't going to be the main focus. And then some people commented, I've seen, that if Yang and Blake got into a relationship, it would ruin the show. Like the team dynamic. I mean, people have said the show too, but let's talk about team dynamic first. How exactly? From the very beginning, team dynamic, there was obviously disparity in who interacted with who. Honestly, if it wasn't that Weiss came from a super high-class family who is run by, asshole, she probably wouldn't, because their first interaction was Blake coming over being like, actually, it's Eris, actually. Weiss Schnee. Eris, being like, yeah, just there to pretty much rub it in Weiss's face. Like, yeah, I know who you are. You're someone who's working, who's an heir to a shady company. But, and then the fight, that really did that. And because of the fight, that's what really got there into more like somewhat being able to interact with each other, but never like on a super conversation wise. The two who interacted the most were obviously Weiss with RWBY and Blake with Yang. Those two groups were obviously the people who hung out with each other most. Yeah, sure, occasionally Weiss talked with Blake, never huge. And there was tiny moments with RWBY and Blake, once again, the slightest interaction. And Volume 6 actually tried to incorporate more interaction between the two, which I personally really loved. If they got together, how would that mess it up? Yang's RWBY's sister, if anything, I guarantee you that would mean they interact more. How would that mess with Weiss? Weiss, if anything, she's already said, like, she will help Blake and Yang out. She wants to be there to support them because they're more like family to her than her own father or brother. And honestly, at this point, mother. If anything, they'll just make them all closer because Weiss is going to be there during Volume 7 too. She's going through hardships, and then also so is Blake. If anything, they're all going to need each other to be there. I don't see how two people getting in a relationship means all of a sudden they can't be cooperative with anyone else. They can't be friends with anyone else. I've never understood that about relationships. Some people go, oh, like some people treat it like, oh, the moment you start dating someone, you're not going to be around, or like they're not like let's say there's a friend and they start dating and they're not going to be around. And this is coming from me. In 6th grade, like one of my closest friends started dating someone. All of a sudden, me and my other friend who were in that class, like she would never talk to us. And I straight up, I was like, huh? Like, I get it, you're dating this person, but like, what? Like, we're in class together. You normally sit with us. Like, why are you all of a sudden over there? It's just like, I get it. You want to spend time with the person you're dating. Okay, cool. But what about us? We exist. And so, yeah, and they broke up, and like, she did come back, and we never questioned her about things like that. But it was just like, I don't understand that. Like, I, for one, have never been in a relationship. But here's the thing. If I ever do get in one, I don't plan on all of a sudden forgetting I have friends or people to interact with other than my significant other. I don't plan on doing that. And I honestly, if anything, will legit tell my sister, like, hey, if I ever start seeming to like seclude myself to only my significant other, come over to wherever I am and slap me in the face and tell me to wake up. Honestly. I don't see Blake or Yang being the personality type to do that. And they're a team. They can't really all of a sudden seclude themselves into a shell. They're in the middle. They're on a mission. They can't go and do something that maybe they could have done if, let's say, they were still at Beacon. But they're not. Right now, they're trying to stop Salem. They have a mission. And they're not going to all of a sudden be like, we can't do this mission. We have each other. No. I just can't fathom that one. Okay, now let's get back to the title where it's like why I still love and support RWBY. So we're going to start this right now. Okay. Support, love, all that fun stuff. I, for one, love the show because, like I said, characters. Even though they killed one of my favorites. 2, technically. I love the show and the characters. I love that even though horrible things have gone down, we're not like pulling a Black Clover with all its like 2-3 episodes of interaction but then straight back to battle. We're not doing that. We're actually getting time to sit there and see them interact, to see them trying to pull themselves back together with each other and learn from like all the things that have been happening and all that stuff. I like seeing that, and I'm glad it's happening. I love how Team Ranger, like within the 6-month time period, they were able to actually work cohesively together and actually come up with strategies. But you could still, during those scenes where some people said don't count, but like you could see that RWBY still was sitting there going, I miss my team. I want my team. Like when Shanida's company gets brought up within 2nd chapter, I think. No, first chapter of volume 4, she looks up with like a sad, wistful look on her face. Because she's like, oh yeah, Weiss, my partner. It's like you can see that even if like maybe we're obviously missing something because there was huge time skips, so we didn't get to see everything, but you can see they have a connection. She does miss her. It's not just like, oh, she's gone, huh? Who is she? Like, you can see that it hurts her, the fact that they're not together. And then chapter 10 of volume 4, where RWBY goes, I'm sorry I dragged you into this. Even though she didn't know about all these things, she just feels bad that, hey, I didn't save Penny or Pyrrha. And now you're here running into people like Tyrion and like all these bigger things we didn't know about. And she feels like it's her fault. Like, you can see it affected her, and like, yeah, sure, she's still the childish girl, but honestly, at this point, it's probably like, just like, hey, I want to keep one semblance of normal in my life. And if that means I'm going to be cheerful and like put off anything, yeah, no, that's for me, but to do something else for someone else, I'm doing it. That's just Ruby, and I really love that about her. Seeing John grow after what happened with Pyrrha was nice. Seeing more into Ren and Nora's situation in life was nice. They all mean something to me, and learning more about Weiss's situation helps me look back to early day Weiss and obviously have a new light to shed on that. When I first started watching the show, I didn't listen to the soundtrack, and I hate myself for it, but I didn't listen to the soundtrack. So, honestly, my only thoughts on Weiss the first few chapters was I hate her. And then she like slowly started to actually adapt with the group more, and you can see like honestly she's her being all like difficult was like more of just how she was, not really like her being like I'm so much higher and mightier than you, because she was actually interacting, she was actually going along with Ruby's things. Because if she was actually like all that high and mighty and, oh, I'm the heiress to a dust company that's super high and mighty, she wouldn't have bothered to put up with Ruby. She would have just been like, you're my partner, but I don't have to do this stuff with you. This is pointless. I'm going back to do my studies. And I loved that. Yang. I love Yang. Even though we're seeing a few less like her interacting with Ruby, there's still moments, but I love their dynamic. In Volume 2, they pointed out, they're like, Summer, when she was gone, Taiyang, he kind of shut down, and for that little space in time where he wasn't really being there for the family, Yang was looking after and taking care of Ruby. That's not something she had to do, but she chose to do it. And that's something that's admirable. One of my favorite Volume 1 songs, Gold. I love Gold to death. And I love that in Volume 5, when they get reunited and Yang finally returns the I love you back to Ruby. Oh god, I'm crying. I love that when the Volume 5 soundtrack came out, that they had a gold acoustic. That was just so perfect and like so amazing to me. And I just vastly appreciated it. And it was just this huge thing of like, I loved it. Blake, honestly, at the beginning was me. I would have been the person like just getting in, and I would have been the person while everyone else was trying to sleep. Like, let's say we were in that situation where everyone had to dorm in the same place. I would be the person who's just at the wall by myself with a light reading a book. That would have been me. Never gonna deny that. That is just me. That is who I am. And I'm not super open about what my home life is like or stuff like that. Yeah, maybe occasionally if you see my streams, like my brother will come knocking at the door and I talk about my sister because she's in videos. There's no reason to hide that, but I've never been like super talkative about the situation, and I've do mention some things in my life, but that's only when it's like necessary to like, it's not just like me bringing it up because I feel comfortable. It's just something that whatever I was talking about, it kind of calls for me to. And like, yeah, sure, the show for a little bit doesn't show a whole ton of signs of like racism, really. There's subtle ones, and yes, obviously the show could use a bit more, but Volume 7's about to happen. I would imagine we're about to get a lot, and I'm gonna think back to the good old days where there wasn't that much. But like, just hearing when you find out she was in the White Fang and what that was like, just hearing that as a young child, she went to two things holding up a sign because she just wanted basic rights. And she didn't get it because no one wanted to give people their rights that they deserve. I was just like, what? No, that's effed. Like, So while I couldn't completely relate to Blake, I at least was like, you strong person. For you to like sound so like downcast about this topic now hurts a little bit. Because obviously, like she called herself, she was like, but I was just a youthful optimist, which is why stuff like that. But characters in the show have been good to me so far. On story standpoint, yes, there are huge jumps in it. Not gonna deny that. Considering volume 1 happened like from pretty much their initial to a little bit in, and then volume 2 we find out their first semester's done and over with. It is a bit of a jump, and it does mean we've missed some story elements and stuff like that. But I do still appreciate that in general. And like I liked how they did it. Because it would have been a lot longer if you think about it. If they didn't skip it all of that, that's a positive, I guess. It's a interesting thing, situation, concept, fun stuff like that. But I just loved it. Like I got hooked. I think before I even watched all of Volume 1, my first interaction, like my first introduction to the show was Team Juniper, like their dance during Volume 2. That was how I was introduced to the show, and personally, I would not have had it any other way. That was like too adorable and precious in my mind. But yeah, I don't know. I just hate to see all these videos that are being recommended to me of people going, "This is why I dropped RWBY. This is why I'm done with it." And then the basic, like in a lot of them, not all of them, but in a lot of them, they just go, Bumblebee, Rooster Teeth fired Vic. The finale was bad. Oh, the way they killed Adam was stupid. It's like, okay, cool. Opinion noted. Thank you for spreading this negative message to anyone who is mildly curious in it because of your channel, but now that they're seeing that you dropped it and you think that it's not worth it anymore, then they probably shouldn't watch it either. Like, it's honestly up to everyone to do what they want to do, but it's just like, with all the negative in the fandom recently, so many people have just been like shitting on it, almost like for the sake of shitting on it. Like after chapter 1, someone's video on it was just damage control, and it's like, this is what you wanted. This is literally what you asked for, pretty much. Not exactly, which means it is some of their own thought, but it's what you asked for. But now that it's happened, it's just damage control. It's just Rooster Teeth trying to defend themselves. But wait, why are you complaining? It's what you wanted. It's just this thing where, honestly, like I said, I think people are just hating on it, especially YouTubers, hating on it. Like, if their videos are mostly like, they mention some good, positive, fun stuff, but then they're also like, I hate it. I hate this, this, and this. I honestly think that's just them, continuing with their brand and their channel, their thoughts on it. I don't like making streams or videos on it. But for one, I also don't monetize my videos. So, yeah, I don't get anything out of this. This is just me throwing my more positive opinion on the stuff out there instead of the negative. I saw a video, I didn't watch it, but like from the title, they show the apathy, and they're like, these Grimm make no sense. And I'm like, in what context? Like before, like it was like, I don't know how long the video was, but I don't think I'm going to watch it. I just want to stay here. Like, the Grimm here. I love them. At first, like, from volume 4 to 5, yeah, the Grimm seemed like less of a threat because they started focusing more on the villains, like the people. So yeah, I didn't know. But then they introduced Grimm like the Nucleavi, which is scary and like had to have lived long won so many battles. And then they showed the apathy. The apathy. If they drain your will or your emotions to do anything to where you don't really feel anything, to where you, honestly, if you lay down in bed, you're never going to get up and just die there, then they don't have to be fast or strong. You're pretty much already done. You've given up. Now all they have to do is get to you and you're gone, if they even feel like doing that. They do make sense. Like, just because it's a psychologic thing does not mean all of a sudden it doesn't make sense. It is new to the concept of Grimm, but it's not weird. If people can have different semblances and there's maidens and magic, then there can be a Grimm that makes you feel like you don't care about anything. Like, straight up, you're laying there on the floor, Blake style, staring, and they're calling out to you, and you're like, it's fine. As a hand is reaching over you. I don't know what to say about that. It's just so weird to see that is what is really being talked about. Like, that's what the big thing is. That's what the big deal is. I don't know. I can't explain with a lot of thought here why that is. And if you take a look around, you see Orin High School Host Club here. There's Fairy Tail Zero. That's Evangelion, which I'm not as huge of a fan of. There's Fairy Tail, Tales of Zillia, more Fairy Tail. You can't see this picture, but that's Ghost Hunt, and that's Yokai no Dene? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting how to say it. Like, if you look around my room, you can see if I get into something and I like something, you see it around everywhere. I'm not shy about supporting it, like showing that I obviously love it. Like I said on my desk, a whole bunch of RWBY stuff. You have some Madoka Magica, you have a whole bunch of Danganronpa. Like, my room is just shouting at you things that I've come to love over the years. I've been a fan of Fairy Tail for 2019 now. 2013? 2012, maybe? It's been a while. Maybe not since it started airing, but from the moment I found it, I've been hooked ever since. And it's come to mean something to me. And, like, that show in itself has had its ups and downs, but I've stuck with it. The reason why I brought up, like, you can see my shared interest is, like, if what faults I see in RWBY were huge, I probably wouldn't have all the RWBY stuff that I do. And I would have it shown, but like I said, that requires me to get it, which I'm not going to do, but let's, like, try to think if I have anything nearby to grab, but I don't see it as being a huge thing to where you do that. I just recently got different wall scrolls, even, like, there's one with Weiss and RWBY. I got a Blake. I don't have Yang. I tried, but I didn't get that. But see, like, truthfully, like, here's RWBY. Like, I have these little things, which I do wear. Like, if I didn't like or superly care, or like all these faults I found to be huge, I probably wouldn't have these things, you know? I'm not the type to go and spend money on things that I don't feel a super strong connection to. I don't do that. If I ask for something or like pay for something, it means I genuinely love it. All in all, it's just, for one, YouTube, please I don't want to see anymore. This is why I'm dropping RWBY, or I've dropped RWBY, here's why. You know, like, I don't care how it's phrased. No more of those. I'm personally done with them, and I want nothing to do with them. I'm good. Leave it alone. Drop the subject. And for anyone who does stumble upon this video, if you're someone who dropped the show, this isn't me attacking you. This is just me being angry. YouTube thinks I want to watch people shout about it. If I ever drop RWBY, I guarantee you I'm never going to make a video about it. If I did, it's probably because I didn't drop RWBY because of something Rooster Teeth did with the show. It's just, I don't see why I would drop it. So, like, when the day comes, if that ever happens and, like, it's something other than the show, then maybe it will happen, but I don't think so. All in all, it's 12:26 a.m. I could go on forever. I don't really want to. I could, but I won't. And I know I spent more time talking about people on the negative side of this more than explaining why I keep watching it. But there are several moments in here that I hope show you just how much I genuinely love the show and genuinely don't want to drop it. This show for me has been a nice point to, like, help me when situations have been tough. And it, like, gives me something, like, especially earlier on when there's, like, more funny moments. It's given me something that's cheered me up. And then, like, even when the times were hard, it was nice seeing that these characters go through and learn from it and build up strength and courage to fight it off. So really, it's a sentimental thing for me. The characters all have a certain quality to them that I personally look up to and aspire about. And so it's just personal. So, you know, yeah, Rooster Teeth fired Vic. That wasn't a RWBY thing. That was a Rooster Teeth thing. Yes, it doesn't feel the same after Monty. They're doing their best, and I'm not going to knock them because it all of a sudden doesn't seem 100% like the same. The only difference is choreography within my eyes. Honestly, they're doing their best. To those saying there's no passion in it, cool, then why is it that I still like the show? Trust me, the minute they all of a sudden, like, started doing cheap, easy things. Let's not look at the finale, because people can say that's cheap, which I'll quickly bring that up. Like, the moment I sense no passion is the moment I probably would drop the show. But that's not because of the show. That's because Rooster Teeth all of a sudden dropped it, which I doubt they would do. I don't know, like, people arguing there's no passion going into it. To continue something and actually try having a cohesive story, or, like, try having, like, a character actually still seem like the same person, that takes some understanding and some kind of passion. And the fact that they get better every volume in animation, that shows passion. If they didn't care and they just wanted, you know, money from first members who like RWBY, or, like, money from RWBY fans who want products and stuff like that, they didn't have to keep improving their animation. Technically they don't, but they do, and it's great. I don't know, it's a huge thing that's just, and, like, some people bring up how Genlock seemed to just overpower RWBY. I'm not going to argue that point, because personally, when I saw that there was a Genlock 15-second advertisement on the finale, which was going to be the shortest since, like, volume, like, it's the shortest, it's one of the shorter finales. I was angry. I'm not going to deny it. The only thing I've seen of Genlock is the trailer and the opening. I haven't seen a single episode, so I can't say if it's good or bad. I can just say, you know, I haven't seen it, and, like, it was annoying to see advertisement on the finale when the first episode came out the same day anyways. But yeah, I'm just passionate about the show, and I love it, and like seeing what other people can come up with and through fan fictions have been good for me. It's nice, cool. Literally, one of the things that I have on my phone right now is something I'm reading for the show. And for those who at least kind of understood my side of this point and like do see where I'm coming from, thank you for understanding. Those of you who think I'm stupid or something like that, you know, whatever, thank you for reaching this point to have heard me say that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's just like sometimes people go and parade their opinion out there as if their opinion means something is complete trash. Like when you go, I don't really like it, here's why, like that's you explaining your opinion. But when you go, it's trash, they should have done this, we can write better than them, there's a problem, they should hire us. That is still your opinion, but that is you going and pretty much making your opinion a fact. Yeah, so what if I've read fan fictions that have done some things better than the show itself? I've never once been like, oh yeah, no, I wish they hired you to write the story. I've never been like that. I've personally, just because I've seen things better does not mean I hated what they've actually done. Adam dying? Yeah, sure, they could have done more with him. They could have all of a sudden introduced him to Weiss and then completely ruined the fact that, hey, Beauty and the Beast. Some people go, well, Blake was based off the like inspiration from Belle, then obviously the Beast is Adam. When in actuality, because of Blake's faunus heritage, she could also be considered the Beast, which would make Yang, who is like, yeah, she's like Goldilocks and stuff like that, but she's always been like shown as like beauty, like her looks shine like above, like her personality shining. She could be the Beauty, and then in that case, Adam would have been like the force that was intervening, which he was. He showed up during the fall of Beacon, and like, yeah, no, it doesn't all revolve around Blake, and he wasn't after Blake. But the moment Blake showed up, he stabbed her. Well, he's already been like this haunting figure over Blake's head, so that's not going to change any of their dynamic. But then here comes Yang. Adams just said to Blake, I will destroy everything you love. And then when she shows up, Blake's all like, no. And so Adam's like, starting with her. Not only is that an extra psychological scar to poor Blake, that also now connects their story with Yang's, as she has now lost her arm to this man. Their story is connected. Yes, Adam does have a brand on his eye that says SDC, Trinity Dust Company. But that does not mean we need to bring Weiss into this. Maybe Weiss doesn't know the extremes her father has brought the company to be. But at the same time, it doesn't mean we need to shove Adam in her face. Could they have handled it better? Maybe. Sure, yeah. No, there's always possibilities of different things. Do I think all of a sudden they've just made Blake and Yang murderers for no reason? No, because that, A, self-defense. B, if Adam got that sword, yeah, sure, Yang went in, knocked him out. Well, that's only after he's already stabbed Blake. There was too many ifs in that situation to where, like, adrenaline and, like, action first, think later is the only course that could have taken. Because that could have went way too many ways, negative and maybe positive, to where you wouldn't have known. And it's not like they had time to think about it. Yeah, I'm going to end this now before I get any more heated on the subject. Once again, everyone who, like, you know, has stopped watching the show, you know, your opinion's valid. But just note that when you go and shout things that, you know, could be highly based on your taste or, like, have something to do with the company rather than the show itself, please note that what could have been someone's, like, new favorite show or, like, someone's, like, show where they do like is now something they're not even going to bother with. And even if that's not your intention, it's something that does happen. I don't even remember what video it was that made me not watch it. Because, like, it wasn't my sister. My sister was trying to get me to watch it. But, like, I watched this video of someone talking about, like, stuff they saw wrong with it or, like, their dislike for certain characters and animation. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I never really watched anything with this animation either. So, you know what? Okay, cool. I won't. And that's totally me. But other people have been like that, too. So it's just that thing. And I know this one video isn't going to all of a sudden make everyone go, I see your point. And once again, this is not made for people to go, okay, cool, I'll watch it. I understand your opinion there. Like, I'm not trying to get people to watch it, and I'm not trying to get people who've dropped it to continue watching it. I'm just trying to be like, hey, here's what I think about the situation currently. Here's some of my thoughts on why I still like the show. Here's just this big mess of emotion that hurts. But yeah. I know not many people are going to watch this. This is on my 3 subscriber channel. Obviously, not many people are going to watch it, but thanks to anyone who's even bothered to look into it for a little bit. I know it's a lot to watch a, hour and 15-minute video, but thank you for any of you who did. Anyways, I'm going to end the stream, but thank you once again for all of you who have seen this. Even if you never reach this point, maybe you won't see this. I don't know. I don't have high self-esteem, if you didn't notice. But anyways, see you guys. Thank you for taking time out of your day, and I'm sorry if I seem demanding or anything like that. I would never mean to be. But see you guys, and yeah, it's just, it's a lot, and just see you guys. It's hard not to say salutations at the end of this video. Why? Oh, because Penny's on the head, because I never brought her up. See you guys, and please never forget Penny, because, like, she's been brought up in Volume 5, but hasn't been brought up since, so yeah. Don't forget Penny. She is our savior. I'm trying to be awkward here. By trying, I mean I am. See you guys. Seriously, bye.